welcome to another episode of the STB Podcast. I got my guy, one of my favorite people in the entire NFL, Craig Reynolds with the Detroit Lions on. Craig, thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate you. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We've been trying to do this for a long time, and we finally got it synced up. And
it's been a minute.
Craig, you've had a crazy journey in the league, right? A different journey than most. Tell us what that was like. You're undrafted, not only undrafted and drafted from a smaller school. Tell me kind of what that process was like. What was your mindset after college and getting to the NFL? Because a lot of it we hear about athletes, high draft picks or have all this potential or unfulfilled promise or blowing through money. You're one of the guys that, hey, you had to fight for everything that you earned. So tell us a little about that.
Coming out of Kutztown, man, I didn't know what was going to happen. Wasn't invited to any bowl games. Was scratching and clawing to get a pro day. I was blessed enough to get opportunity with the Villanova Wildcats pro day, and they let me come in there, and they had a decent amount of scouts there. But yeah, coming out of Kutztown, man, I was just training at the local LA Fitness and with Rashad Campbell in Philly, where I was living. So kind of had a plan A and a plan B. Obviously I wanted to go to the NFL, but at the same time I was interviewing for jobs and getting ready for, I didn't know what was going to happen when that draft came around. So was interviewing, training, and just, praying and staying positive. And I was blessed to get a call from the then Redskins right down the road in Ashburn, Virginia, man, and went down there for a rookie mini camp invite. And I was grateful for that, man. I didn't think much of it. I was ready to turn my playbook in at the end of the rookie mini camp, and they told me I was staying. And I was just thankful to be on that 90. And once I got on the 90, I just knew I had to make the most of my opportunities during training camp and those preseason games. And, the rest is history.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What was when you were training and you don't have the structure or the laid out plan, how did you create the structure for yourself while you're also looking for jobs to kind of keep you motivated and not be one foot in, 1 foot out? Because I think a lot of times people want to take a chance but it's hard if you don't have the resources. How did you kind of stay on track to train to even get the opportunity with the Redskins?
Yeah, man. When I say plan A, plan B, the main focus was the NFL, of course. But so my days looked like I would get up super early. I think it was like a 5 a.m. wake up, made sure I get my workout in the morning. Most of that was running or 40 work, combine prep. And then I would go work at a tire shop not too far from my house in the middle of the day. And then come home in the evening and get, one or two, depending on the day of the week, workouts in the evening. And then go home and relax and do it all over again. I kept my ears open. I had a couple interviews with an insurance company that I was probably going to end up working for if the league didn't work out. But as far as time goes, I invested a whole lot into it. I tried to take the formula of some of the guys that you see, like Path to the Draft on ESPN and NFL Network and stuff like that. Just trying to see what those guys are doing. Like I didn't have access to a facility in Florida, training in Philadelphia, getting ready for the draft. It's, February, January, March, it's still freezing. Mm-hmm. So just trying to get the most of what I could. I was using like a soccer indoor field to get some work in when I needed to run routes and do drills. And then local LA Fitness, man. I was in that LA Fitness since I was in 8th grade all the way up till my senior year of college. I was just, living in there and just trying to put the time in as much as I could. But yeah, it was tough, but I'm thankful for that process. It makes you a lot more grateful, now looking back on it and how blessed I am.
So you were watching like Path to the Draft and like taking notes like, oh, they're doing this workout or that workout.
Yeah, all the little things, man. All the little things I could steal what those guys were eating. They'd be eating while they're doing interviews. I'm like, oh snap, you know what I mean? Just trying trying stuff. The scheduling, the drill work, the workouts. YouTube. YouTube's a huge help, and it's free. So I was using that as much as I could, whether that was workouts, recovery stuff, yoga classes, just on YouTube, just doing as much as I could, man, because I wanted it. I just didn't have access to everything. So, when you want something that bad, you will find a way. That's all I was trying to do, is just find a way and, leave no stone unturned.
What's the saying? If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse.
Exactly.
So you're in Washington, right? You have that situation. Then you were in Atlanta?
Yeah, I was with Washington. I ended up going on P Squad with Washington. Great opportunity. I treated those days like game days out there. And then left Washington week 10, played in 3 games, all only special teams, no touches. Mm-hmm. Then I went to the Atlanta Falcons and finished that season with those guys. Also learned a lot there. Dan Quinn was the head coach there. Mm-hmm. Was on P Squad for most of that year, and just learning in that locker room, man. That was like when Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. They had a lot of talent on that team. So just learning there, man, in that rookie year, it was a lot. People always say your rookie year is the longest year. So definitely was, especially with the movement too, up and down the roster, moving teams. But like I said, man, just trying to learn as much as I could.
Awesome. So now you are with the Lions, right? You fast forward a few years and you find kind of a home, right, in Detroit, and they're rebuilding. Take us through. And I think, everyone a lot of people know who you are because of Hard Knocks. In that situation, kind of where you're on the edge. Tell me about what that experience was like, having the cameras, because you're under the radar dude, right? And you're fighting to make the team, and there are cameras there and there's all that stuff. So tell me a little bit about what that experience was like.
That was crazy, man. That was crazy. I'll never forget. It was in the off season. I was working out, and at Kutztown, I was working out, and my phone just starts blowing up in the middle of this workout, and I can hear it. So I go over and check, and it just got released that the Lions are going to be on Hard Knocks. Right then and there, I knew I was going to be one of those, storylines. Yeah, I knew it. And come to camp or get to OTAs, and they were already talking to me about, doing an interview about my story and my brother and all this stuff. So went to come into camp, man, and it was, like you said, I'm under the radar. So, they'd asked me to do interviews, and I'm mic'd up this day, and can you do this? And they wanted to talk to my dad and stuff. And, it was a great experience. But in that moment, when you're trying to make an NFL team, it was tough. Because I'm like, I'm out there at practice and something would happen. I'm like, oh, man, not only did I mess up and I got to watch this in film, but then next Wednesday it's going to be on TV. And then, I got people back, damn, you let or what? You know what I mean? So it's like, but it kept me on my toes and it kept me locked in to make sure that stuff didn't happen. And I was blessed enough to make the roster at the end of it. But, it was a dope experience to say I'm part of it. And it's something that'll be with me for a long time that I can go back and look on. As time goes. But yeah, it was definitely a blessing. In the moment though, man, it was definitely rough. There was a couple sound bites from it that were funny that people thought were funny. So, a lot of good came of it. I'm blessed to have the opportunity, like I said.
Yeah. So with that journey, right, we talk about secure the bag. It's about money, right? Mm-hmm. And not only have you had an unconventional kind of path to the league, right? The way a lot of the things that with guys where a lot is given to them at a young age, they're blowing through it and don't have anything left. You kind of have a different approach, I guess, when you don't know, hey, every meal can be your last in terms of in the NFL. So how was your approach kind of when you got in the league with money, and how has that kind of evolved?
Oh, man, I was just trying to save as much as I could, man. I was taking food from the facility, so I didn't have to, eat dinner. Or if I wanted snacks, I didn't have to come out of pocket for that. In those early days, man, My iPhone was old as dirt. I was not getting a new phone. Still had the home button. The home button was long gone with iPhones, man. So like I was saving as much as I could. I drove a Buick Rendezvous. It was like a 1999. Like I was definitely saving as much as I could because, like you said, you never know. And being a practice squad active guy, sometimes you never know when it's going to end. And God forbid an injury happened or something. I just wanted to make sure that when I left the game, that I had a nice little head start to going into the next phase of my life. But yeah, looking back, I'm a little bit better now. But yeah, I was very, very frugal. I mean, you know this, so. Yeah. It's just something I'm trying to work on because obviously, like we talked about before, like I wasn't even like investing. I was just saving every dime, and there was opportunities for that.
That's where the double-edged sword comes in, right? Where it's like, on one hand, you have an athlete or anyone in general where the primary problem is spending. They're just spending way too much. And they're budgeting. But then there can be kind of an over-saving where it's like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And in the quest to create freedom, you're kind of hindering yourself because you're not investing and making the money grow. So tell us a little bit about how that evolution, that process was, because it's something I've seen from you, just like I'm hoarding it like a squirrel to, hey, now it's evaluating different business ideas and so tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, like I said, I'm still who I am, but I've definitely gotten better. Like I invested in a rental property, something in an area that I was very comfortable with. Obviously in a good price range. The tenants were already in it, something, that I knew I had good control over, something safe, not too risky. And I was very comfortable with it. And I'd say that, I mean, shoot, doing that still felt, crazy to me. But like I said, I know it's been a year and some change now, so I'm thankful for that. And as far as like doing little stuff now, I mean, like I pay everything with a credit card and then save those points, for flights, and then I have hotel points, and then whenever I'm staying at the hotel with the team, I transfer those points over, so I get those points. So in the off season, if I have to go somewhere, I don't have to pay for the room. Just finessing, honestly. It all is finessing. I mean, and just trying to make sure I can be as smart as possible and don't have to spend when I don't need to. Like I said, because you never know, man. And I feel like I've learned a little bit from my dad growing up. We were kind of like that, and he was always good about it, and he taught me. He was very strict as a father, and then strict with spending and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's definitely a blessing, and he funneled it into me, and I've kind of used it and molded it in my own way. And I'm just blessed, man. I can't complain about anything on this process. Meeting you and obviously being able to grow on the financial side, because I was very limited on that end, man. You know that. So yeah, it's definitely been a blessing.
That's awesome. No, it's been awesome to watch your journey on the field and in that realm. And I think the key is like you keep the principles and apply them to your life, right? And if you grew up and you knew how to stretch a dollar, it's like the money doesn't change that, right? It's like the credit card point. It's a hidden way to create wealth, and it's like finding hidden yardage, right? Or I think in terms of what helps you stick in the NFL is the YouTube and looking up it's like you are constantly in your life on the field finding those hidden things to stick in a locker room, and it's applying those same things financially, I think. Right? It's a pretty easy transition. So that's
exactly.
Awesome. Yep. That's awesome. all right. And this year, you guys are having an awesome year. And I was at the Lions game this past weekend, and a guy, obviously didn't know I knew you. He's sitting behind me, and he goes, when you got in the game, you had to bust it off that nice run. He goes, man, I swear that Reynolds could start for probably half the teams in the league, right? because you're playing behind two absolute studs.
Yeah.
Absolute studs in Montgomery and Gibbs. So tell us a little bit about what the year has been like and how exciting it's been, kind of this renaissance with the Lions, and then also like your position group playing with two guys that are that talented.
Nah, for real. I mean, so as the running back room, man, it is a close-knit group. I mean, we hang out all the time. We have a nice little tight corner. We're in the corner of the locker room, man, and we all are able to sit together and BS together, and it's a great time, and we compete at the same time on the football field and hold each other accountable. So, if you mess up, you're going to hear it in the running back room, not just from the coaches when, we get in the locker room. And just having that bond, and everybody wants to be great. And those two guys, David and Ja, are very talented, man. And it's awesome to watch. I feel like they are between the O-line and the running back there, the heartbeat of the offense, man. They get us going. And they're tough, man, mentally tough, physically tough. And you see it in practice. And then myself and Vaki, who are the backup running backs, man, we try to take that same standard to special teams. And then, whatever plays that we do have in the game plan or we get an opportunity, we try to maintain that standard like there's no drop off. So the competition in that room is fun, man. Great group of guys. I love those guys like brothers. And like I said, every day is funny. I'm excited to go into work. So having those guys as teammates is truly a blessing. As well as, and then the team success has just been great, man. We got a great leader in Dan. The locker room is, tight all the way around, offense, defense, special teams. Everybody conversates, and it's a special room comparatively to being on some of the other teams I've been on. Mm-hmm. That's probably the biggest difference, man. I mean, like I said, I've been on talented teams, but the locker room and being able to play for each other and looking the man in the eye next to you when you go out there on every down and knowing that he's going to give it his all. So I got to give it my all. Yeah. And when you do something like that, you're going to have special things, man. And there's no excuses. There's no blame. When you come back to that sideline, it's just like, all right, fix what we need to fix. Let's go back out there and keep kicking these guys' ass. And that's what we try to do. And it starts in camp, starts in OTAs, man, the intensity, the standard, in the weight room, the standard, in film, and obviously in practice. We just try to go out there and work. And, everything's analyzed, and it's all about the details. It's the little things. That's the biggest takeaway, man. The details and the little things is something I'll take from my football career for the rest of my life. When I have children, I'll instill it in them. The little things matter. Even when they don't seem like it, they do, man. That's what separates people. So, and I feel like this team really does care. And it starts with the coaches, man. Everybody's talking the same way. Doesn't matter if they work in the cafeteria, the trainers, everybody's going in the same direction and want the same goals. And there's nobody trying to drag anybody down, man. And it's great to be a part of.
That's awesome. Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on. We are super excited to see how far you guys can go and if you guys can take it all the way. Appreciate you coming on, Craig, man. It's been awesome.
Appreciate you for having me. It was good to get this done, man. It's been a while.
No doubt. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.